Hi, I'm Mason DeWine, and today I'm standing outside the Ohio State House. I'm a freshman at Bowling Green State University and former member of the Ohio Attorney General's Teen Ambassador Board. Today, we're going to be talking about public policy. What exactly is public policy, and how is it really made? Well, public policy is all the things a government does that impacts its citizens, from issuing driver's licenses to providing financial aid for college. But where do these public policies come from? All public policy starts with an idea, and that idea can come from elected officials or constituents.
Whether it's from family and friends and those conversations, meeting with residents, business owners in the district and across the state, meeting with different advocacy groups that are working on behalf of those on the front line delivering a service, operating a business. They provide information, data, all sorts of thoughts about legislation that would be effective and that would be thoughtful. My district doesn't look anything like some of my other members' districts, and our responsibility is to work together to represent the entire state.
Once you have your idea, it can become legislation. Did you know that citizens just like you can write legislation too? Any constituent can write legislation and seek to pass it through the ballot initiative process. After the ballot initiative is drafted, organizers of the initiative must get 1,000 signatures from registered voters. After that, they can submit the proposed initiative to the Attorney General's office. If approved, the ballot initiative moves to the Ohio Ballot Board for approval. If the ballot board gives their final approval, the organizers need even more signatures for the initiative to go on to the next statewide election ballot. Then, it's up to the voters to decide. If they approve the ballot initiative, it becomes law in Ohio. Constituents and interest groups can also draft legislation on behalf of legislators. Other times, legislators can draft their own legislation, or they can seek assistance from the Legislative Service Commission.
LSC is our Legislative Service Commission, and these folks have a number of different jobs that they do, but maybe it's first interesting to think about the history of this a little bit. There was a point in time where if you served in the legislature and you had an idea for something that should become law, it was up to you to draft that and to write it and to write it in the specific format that it needs to be written. Well, many of us aren't lawyers. I'm not a lawyer. And we want people from different backgrounds to be able to serve in the legislature. That's the good news. The state legislature is sort of a snapshot of Ohio. You have people that are farmers, people that are teachers, people like me that came out of the Army a few years ago and now are serving in elected office. And yeah, we've got some lawyers too that have that great legal expertise. But for a normal person who doesn't have a law degree to be able to serve in the legislature, you need people you can turn to that can help you get the technical aspects of writing a law, get that right. And those are the folks from LSC. The Legislative Service Commission is just what it sounds like. It's service, and they serve the members of the legislature and the people of Ohio quite well.
Once it passes one chamber, either the House or here in the Senate, it will move on to the other chamber, and the process repeats. If the bill is passed by a majority of the Ohio House and Senate, it then goes to the governor to be signed. Once the governor signs it, the bill becomes law and must be enforced by the executive branch. Ohio's executive branch is made up of the governor, the lieutenant governor, and hundreds of state agencies, boards, and commissions. These agencies are in charge of everything, from selling lottery tickets to maintaining our roads. The governor can appoint individuals to lead almost all of these agencies. The executive branch also includes 4 other elected officials: the Attorney General, the State Auditor, the State Treasurer, and the Secretary of State. Each of these officials must interpret and enforce laws. By doing so, they create public policy.
In 2007, the state legislature passed a law that was signed by the governor that said that every school in the state, every school building, would have to have a safety plan, and that they would have to have that filed with the Attorney General's office. Right after the Chardon tragedy, we looked to see how many schools had complied with the requirement in the law to come up with a school safety plan. We found that most had, but we also found that 725 schools, 725 buildings, there was no school safety plan developed and no school safety plan on record with us. And so we consulted some experts and then really put together a protocol of how a school safety plan should be put together. 1 year later, after we'd encouraged schools to do that, after we had reached out to the 725 schools that were not in compliance, we were down to 8. There were only 8 schools that had not complied. So it was a major effort, but I think it was very important.
Sometimes, though, individuals can sue to prevent state agencies from enforcing laws. When courts rule on these lawsuits, their decisions can impact public policy. For example, a court case almost changed the motto of the state of Ohio.
The then seated Governor Voinovich wanted to put the state motto, "With God all things are possible," on the grounds in the sidewalk entrance into the State House. And when that decision was made, we were immediately challenged by the ACLU. Their objection was that it was a violation of the First Amendment Establishment Clause. Can we have a state motto that says, "With God all things are possible," or can we not? We won.
The history of the state motto is just one example that shows the General Assembly, the executive branch, the judiciary, citizens, interest groups, and the media are all important pieces in creating public policy, and that includes you.